Will you just start this interview by telling me your name, full name, and what you do?
Frances Jane Harder, and I always say that I'm the designer gone insane. And from being a designer and an educator for many years, I realized that further education was not really providing designers with the skills and the business know-how, and design was such a small part of being successful. So while I was teaching at Otis College of Art and Design, I met somebody who wanted to start an incubator, and from that was born the FBI. At that time it was called the Fashion Business Incubator, and we went to find a space, and luckily enough I bumped into Ethan at the new Mart and said, I need a little office so we can do some classes. And he said, well, I think we've got one in the back corridor here on the 3rd floor, and very kindly let us have an office with a telephone. And I was also writing my book, Fashion for Profit, and I was developing a class for Otis on further education on how to start your own line of clothing. So it all combined together. It was just perfect timing. And after teaching at Otis 9 years as a full-time faculty, I decided to take that leap of faith. I was a frustrated entrepreneur. I'd started my own business twice, and so I took that leap of faith. And luckily I met Ethan and the new Mart and Joyce, and it took off from there. So it's been quite a journey.
My name is Rob Greenspan. I work for myself. My company's called Greenspan Consult, Inc. And my background a little bit, I'm a CPA, Certified Public Accountant. I worked for 31 years with Moss Adams CPAs in Los Angeles. I was a partner in the firm, head of the apparel practice, managing partner of the firm from 1979 to the beginning of 2010. And at the end of 2009, I retired from the firm, just worked for myself. I'm semi-retired, and I devote my time to Fashion Business, Inc. I'm chairman of the board and have been a sponsor of the organization since Frances started it 15 years ago. When I met Frances and she told me the concept of training and education for the industry, I thought it was a good cause. People need to be retrained. People need a place to go where they can find support and get programs and learn how to better themselves. And so I thought the FBI was a good give back, and when I had more time, I said, well, now I have a chance to give back to an industry that was good to me.
For a lot of designers, and of course this is generalization, but maybe they're afraid of being knocked off by somebody that's bigger. You know, how
Sure.
do you console the designers that are in that place where they're just a little nervous because they don't think it's ready yet?
Well, whether you're an inexperienced designer or seasoned, you're always nervous. I've learned that. And whatever's new is a challenge and it's hard. But the ultimate compliment is to be knocked off.
Absolutely.
All right, and you're getting inspiration from somebody else anyway, whether it's direct or indirect or overt or whatever. But so it happens, it's part of the business, but you can do things to protect yourself. You can trademark your name, you can trademark your label. If you're doing prints, you can copyright them, and you can do things legally to protect yourself so somebody can't really knock you off, or if they do, at least you have legal recourse. And so we tell people, we give them direction and get them to the right people how to protect themselves, because there are ways to do that within certain guidelines.
People also, if they're driven by brands, they're also guilty of going and buying these knockoff brands. So, you know, if it's a knockoff Louis Vuitton, they know it's not it can't possibly be a real Louis Vuitton. The problem behind all those knockoffs is it's usually child labor, drug money, and terrorist activities behind it. So I think educating the general public about don't buy, really ethical knockoffs. You know they're a knockoff, and you're buying them in Santee Alley, and that you know they're not real. That's another issue. Is the end consumer needs to know. But we're all guilty of going out and still wanting to find things that really, realistically, is too cheap. When you think about, could you possibly have cut and sewn it yourself and bought it for $15? You know,
the consumer looks for price. I really think they look for price, and you know, if you're buying for price, it's hard. Watching what American Apparel is going through now is exactly what you're talking about. I like their philosophy, Made in America. I think it makes sense. I want them to be successful, but they're at a crossroads. And I think they're trying to figure out how to manage Made in America and be competitive.
Right.
And it's tough. If they can do it, I think it'll set a good example and a model for other businesses to do it. But it's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard.
When you look at how things are made and some of these sweatshop places abroad, it can be alarming.
Yeah.
And clothing prices have not gone up in the last, I don't know, 20 years.
Yeah.
They've in fact got cheaper. I mean, there are certainly, government agencies who inspect these factories, and but you never know whether it's going out the back door,
Right.
In India or in China.
Where can everybody find FBI?
Well, through the website, fashionbizinc.org, and also through Fashion for Profit. You can go find us through that.
Okay. And you have a newsletter, I think.
Yeah, we do, which is great.
Tons of sources of information
Yeah.
to get from you guys.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.